Well, today it's chilly out, Stuart.
It's a little cold.
Yeah, we're kind of in that roller coaster season of March.
And you got your Southern Living hat on.
And I got my Southern Living hat
That's cool.
on. Yes, because pretty soon I am going to be getting lots of Southern Living plants, better boxwood,
cool
all of the things I love that hopefully we will be trying out for you guys some new things that I haven't planted before, in addition to some of the ones that are tested and true for me. So we'll talk a lot more about that when the time comes. But we have started doing, I think on Instagram, a plant of the month, Stuart. And the plant of the month now is an encore azalea, I believe called Royalty. It's
on the website.
On the website, and yes, so visit the website.
Yeah, well, Instagram links you to website.
Right, right. So, yes, it's chilly out here. It's wet, it's muddy, and you can see that I probably am not, I'm going to try to stay out of the mud today, Stuart, on this walkabout. But let's start out here, because I want to give an update on these trees. There's a trio of eastern redbuds. There's one there up near the diamond-shaped windows. There's one there kind of at the edge of those windows, and there's a third one here. I like to plant things in threes. Now, if you feel like you have whiplash because I changed my mind so much, I would not blame you, because I went back and forth on this. At first, I thought very emphatically I was going to use cedar elms up here, and then I just thought they would get too big. In addition, I was looking for a place to plant some of my beloved eastern redbuds that created that gorgeous canopy at the old house. So this was my spot to do it. And it kind of leads me right into my question of the day, because I am thrilled. Even though these were just planted, can you see those big fat buds on there? So these are going to bloom in the first year. So I'm going to have this little ribbon of pink, Stuart.
That's cool.
In the front yard, and I'm so thrilled about it.
Well, you start to see what it looks like is what's so neat. Walking up, you're like, okay, you can kind of get an idea.
You can get an idea, and I think it will look so, so sweet with my house. Now, let's talk a little bit about a couple of really good comments that you guys had. And as always, I love your comments. Comment below. But a number of you said, why would I plant one right in front of my house when I love the light in the living room so much and I don't want to block the light? So here's my answer to that. First of all, these are deciduous trees. So in the winter, when I really, really want that strong sunlight coming through, these are going to be leafless. So I will get as much sun as I had prior to their being planted, so that's not an issue. And then in the summertime, when I anticipate that because I face south, we are going to bake inside, I will get some very welcome shade. And I am happy about that. And then, as you know, I am always keeping them thinned out and pruned up because I want to enhance their shape, their form, and the beautiful lines of their branching. So that's what I will continue to do with these, as I did with the ones at my old house, and I think they're beautiful. And again, these are native eastern redbuds. They are not the Oklahoma redbuds, and I just love the soft, soft pink. I think it will be beautiful and very, very cottagey for what I am now dubbing the cottage on the hill.
I like it.
The cottage on the hill, because I think it will be sweet and romantic and very much set the tone for the cottage. Now I'm a little bit conflicted on something, and I want your thoughts on this too. I know Stuart's going, oh no, she's conflicted again. So these will be pink. But by the time, in the past, by the time all of my tulips and everything came out in the previous home, those were largely in pinks, variations of pinks, purples, apricot, sorbet colors. My tulips and pansies were. But, and I've never been that much of a yellow person, but boy, do I like the way these yellow pansies and violas pop against the cottage. And I particularly notice how much I like it when I'm walking in my wonderfully walkable neighborhood.
I really like the walk up to your house.
The walk up to my house, it's just, and that yellow just kind of explodes. So next year when I'm planting my tulips, I may have to incorporate a lot more yellows. So I'm thinking about that. You guys let me know which color palette you kind of like, more the yellow vibrant ones or the ones that are a little bit more English pastel, because that's something that I'm wanting to play with. Another comment, and I just loved this. Someone was concerned, I think she was a member, Eileen, I think, Stuart. We're gonna start taking some of our LV member comments and putting them up on the screen and sharing that screenshot with you, because some of the observations and comments are so spot on. So one of our members commented and said that it looked too tight, like there really wasn't enough room to navigate around the seating area and the pathway into it. Well, I think it's partly Stuart's fault because maybe he didn't capture, or it was hard to capture visually on camera, how large this space really is and the dimensions of it. And right now it's yet to be determined the entrance, the flagstone stepping stones that will come into this front yard patio. So you can see here that there's really quite a bit of room to navigate, don't you think, Stuart?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it like too small, but
yeah, it's not too small. Either, yeah. It's not too small, and I'm not yet sure what kind of table I'm going to have in the center. Now, of course, that will dictate it to a certain degree, but remember that all of these chairs and everything is kind of pushed this way, pushed towards the edge on the south side, because all of this isn't torn out yet. So once this is torn out and there's flagstone in here, all of this will be able to come this way and I'll have more room. So I think that addresses that question. But it is, I'm so glad that this follower brought that up, because it is a consideration. You always want to make sure that there's enough room for people to comfortably move in and around the spaces and where they're sitting. And that's a mistake I made at the old house, where I didn't give myself enough room in some places to be able to bend easily and to navigate those spaces. So that is something I'm definitely going to take into consideration. And then there will be stepping stones that go back around here. Hi, Sandra. That go back around here and to the side, where there'll be stepping stones that go to the back. So that's kind of what we've got going here. But all of this will be able to come up here and go north a little bit, so there will be room to navigate. And I cannot wait for this to get in, because the weather has been so nice. It's been primo patio sitting weather. Now, some other things that I haven't addressed for a while, and boy, that was muddy. And by the way, here's a tip. These are those cloud shoes that I like so much, and they are great for walking in and out, because I don't want to track all my mud, because it has just been so muddy.
Yeah, I don't think I can go back in your house now.
I know. I'm going to make you take off your shoes. Man. None of this tracking mud into my new cottage. So another thing that I need to follow up on, and I definitely am.
Still shooting your shoes. That's funny.
Still
I just kept shooting the shoes like that's what I was talking.
Shooting my shoes, and we'll of course have to put a link. These, I used to use more of those form-fitting Birkenstock-like sandals, but these I found slip easier on, easier off, and they're even more cushiony. They may not be
they're really cushiony.
Really cushiony. They may not be very good looking.
Yeah, it's not about looks.
It's not about looks. It's about not tracking in mud. Now, what was I going to say, Stuart? I've lost my train of thought. Okay, so I know that there is still red paint here, and I will be removing it. I just haven't gotten around to it. And then this will look much more homogeneous. And then there were several comments on what about extending this or adding a pergola or different suggestions like that. Again, that is where I butt up against HP, Historic Preservation requirements. And I just think that there's a way that I can camouflage this and make it look really good and not so truncated like it just stops. I think I will be able to do that without adding any more concrete, and also be able to step down from here. We still have some of this to decide on, but I promise you it is in process. Another thing, Stuart, can we answer another question? Because so many of you have asked about who is doing my landscape, because if you're in the Oklahoma City metro area, you want to contact them for tree trimming, for whatever. And I now have signage out front so that you can contact my friend Kayla, who is such a brilliant, she's just brilliant at installing landscapes. And so that's the information. If you want to reach her, we'll put it up on the screen, and you can do that. All of the channels that you see here are for the irrigation system. And we're working on placement of valve boxes and all of the considerations that one must take into account when they have a sprinkler system. A lot of you have asked, well, what about the grass? Well, Stuart, we've got to put up that design. I apologize, we forgot to put up the plan in the last...
I apologize because I forgot. To put up the plan.
We have a lot of things to remember after these. We will put it up again so you can kind of see in your mind's eye how the grid with the boxwood and everything is going to eventually be laid out. So, so you can address that before you look at how we are working in these beds and establishing the grid and taking off the turf. Now this was done it was just elegant in its simplicity of how these guys are taking off the turf. And I shot a little video of them doing that. So Stuart, we're going to insert that here. So look at the timeline, Mark, where we are to make it easier on yourself when you edit this, because I'm going to show how they're removing the turf. I want to share this tip with you guys for an easy, or I should say less difficult way to skim off and remove turf. So Javier and Sergio are going to help demonstrate this. So first of all, what do you do, Sergio?
Well, cut the grass from here.
And what he's doing is just kind of making a grid and creating a mosaic of these little squares. And then Javier, you're up.
Okay, I'm just picking them up.
So see how nicely that comes off? It reminds me of making brownies or something. So Javier is then just skimming it off the top. And we'll come back and we'll have to do some other things to remove more roots. But look at how easily that comes out then. Instead of struggling, as I would have done, trying to just remove large pieces at a time. They do it far more methodically. So there's your tip for today. And then we will also remove more of the subsoil because it still has lots of Bermuda roots in it, part of which we will use to top dress down here between the sidewalk and the street, because there are some rivets in there, some ridges in there. And we're going to use some of this topsoil to fill those in, and if it has any roots in it, any viable roots, Bermuda grass roots, then all to the better, because it will help fill that in. And then we'll continue to really amend this soil before we begin planting, because there will be no grass up here. It will be a beautiful montage, a tapestry of just all sorts of seasonal beauties. Stuart, what do you
makes me, all those words, I love how you talk, that's all.
But really beautiful things. So lots of, and most of these are going to be southern living plants. We're going to have depending on the season, one thing will then lead into another. So initially it's going to be things like that are spring bloomers. There'll be all my tulips, pansies, there'll be some edibles in here in the spring. There'll be those kinds of things. And then we'll segue into summer, where I anticipate lots of echinacea and salvias and green foliage plants and buddleias and tall phlox and other things. So it will very much be a cottagey look for the cottage garden. All of this real, just the bountifulness of all of it, it will all be contained in this boxwood grid. And that will be made of the better boxwood that I have been telling all of you about. I need to talk to Kayla because she is also going to be the one who is building the window box. And I really need, well, you can tell, I say, I really need to get started on that, and I need to prioritize that. And the truth is, I want to prioritize everything.
Yep.
Because I just want to be like Samantha on, what was that show? Bewitched. And just make it all happen. But that's not how it happens in real life.
Unfortunately.
But slowly but surely, we are working on that. Loved your input on black versus gray, and I'm just going to take what was the majority opinion. I'm going to wait. I'm just going to wait and see if I want to change the color on the chairs. Because today, even though they're painted black, they look kind of gray. So I'm just going to wait on that. That is not an imperative for me. Something else that my friend Janet in Edmond commented on, and that is, and by the way, we will be replacing this concrete, but that she commented on, and this will be an HP, historic preservation thing that I will have to get approval on, but she was saying that for those who might have difficulty getting up and down the stairs, and even myself, if I live here into my ripe old age, then it might be good to have some wrought iron railings on here. And I think it would look very handsome. And I definitely think I will take that advice and install those. But I can't install them until I get historic preservation approval, and we're working on that. Okay, we had to stop, and we're starting again because I just about tripped on Stuart, and I apologize, Matt. I tried to trip you too. One thing that I didn't have when we moved in was a mailbox, and I had to get a mailbox, and so I got this wrought iron one with a brass numbering on it. I got this off of Amazon. I think it looks really, really good. This topiary actually obscures it a little bit, so I may have to switch out my topiaries to a certain extent. And then another thing that I'm going to get that I had on the other house that I just love, and that's one of those plaques that clearly indicated the year the house was built. And I think that's a very cottagey kind of thing, and something that you quite often see if you travel to Europe, and some places they'll say, oh, this was the home of Jane Austen, or this was the home of something. Well, it won't say this is the home of Linda Vater, but it will have the date that the house was built. And I think that will add a little bit more jewelry to the front of the house, because it will have a touch of that brass and a reflective quality that I think really enhances, just as jewelry enhances your outfit, this will enhance the front of my house and make it look a little bit more finished. And obviously there is just, I'm going to have the windows washed, all of that type of thing. But again, that will be after all of the dirty stuff, the dirt work has been done. Something else that I have noticed that seemingly just happened overnight is, look at how these topiary have just flushed out. I mean, they have a whole new layer of growth, and I'm hoping that we don't get a late hard freeze that will kill those tender new shoots off. But we'll keep an eye on that, and I can always kind of cover them or move them in and out. I don't know, but I'm wondering if some of my neighbors think, okay, are these pots, this messy area, is this going to be here into perpetuity? No, it's not. These are all going to be moved around, re-choreographed, replanted in different locations. But the advantage of this, which was quite an accidental thing, was when I am walking up this way, particularly from downtown, and I'm heading north, when I look at it, I like the visual weight that's on this side that these evergreens create. I really like the visual weight. And so what will happen in the design, if you look at it, that I will now have visual weight over here, and I will have a percentage of that visual weight on the other side with the patio. And that will become clearer as the entire design begins to evolve. Stuart, if you would very carefully turn around and not trip on the stairs.
Good job, everybody.
You can see that my beautiful October Glory maple, so many of you have asked again what that was, and it's an October Glory maple. And look at how it's all starting to bud out on top. So I am going to have something of a landscape even before all of this stuff goes in. I will have the presence and the intimation of a landscape. Now over here, Stuart, I'm trying to think how we want to get there because it's very muddy. So let's just show it from a distance. But if you look over here, I did not plant. I'll go, you stay here.
Good point.
Yeah, you and your white tennis shoes. But you can see over here that there is this wonderful sweet magnolia. Can you see it, the pink magnolia here?
Yeah, you can see it. Here, I'll do this for him too.
And it is coming into bloom, and this is Magnolia Ann. This was already here when we bought the house. It probably, most likely, will be relocated, but it's a beautiful pink appointment, and what I love is that it's a perfect color echo because it will bloom at the same time approximately as the red buds, and they are both the exact same shade. So I think that will be beautiful color communication between this side of the house and that side of the house. So like I say, it's kind of coming along. I'm getting itchy. I really would like to take out the stakes, but I know I can't. It does make it look busy to me. But they are serving their purpose, and so I just need to be patient, and patience is not my strong suit.
Imagine their tulips.
Yes, I can imagine the tulips. I do have pots that will have tulips in them, and those might be relocated to the front. One other thing I wanted to point out before I forget is that so many of you have asked, why aren't we doing outfit of the day anymore? And we are, it's just in a different form. So what we're doing is two ways. We're putting them up as shorts. So if you go to my homepage on YouTube, at the top where you see the community tab where I put additional commentary, where I show behind the scenes pictures, things like that, you'll also see a category called shorts. I'm not quite sure. Do you guys know if people get a notification when we put up a new short?
Yeah, we're still not sure about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But they're in shorts. So you can see my outfit of the day, such as they are. Today we're not even going to do one because it's just all about being warm, but you can see them there. You can also see them in one place, and this is helpful to those of you who strictly are interested in gardening content and have no interest whatsoever in what I am wearing. We are doing them and putting all of those segments together in a longer video. Matt is working on that. So if you've been missing outfit of the day, that's where you can find them, in shorts and in periodic long videos. We will put them in, and we'll try to include, if we remember, we will try to include links to appropriate attire. Coming up, some things that we're going to be doing pretty soon, Stuart. Should we share?
Well, we can tell them soon because we don't have a planned date yet. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to be doing, gosh, a number of things. Number one, we will be announcing soon an LV Live an LV Linda Vater YouTube channel live where you guys can ask me questions about the transition from the old house to the cottage on the hill. And we'll be doing a YouTube live. We will also be going thrifting because we haven't done that in a while. I have been so busy. So Stuart, we need to get our thrift on.
That's true.
And there's one fun place near here that I want to try out. Something else that we've got coming up, there's lots more going on inside, some further development, some shipments that I've gotten in that I'm really excited about. Stuart, what else? We keep thinking about these things that we want to share with everyone, and then I get on camera and I forget what they are.
I think you've covered most of them.
But true to form, we will progress. We're going to be visiting other places. We're going to start visiting other gardens. I think we're going to be visiting my friend John Turman's garden again fairly soon as there is something to see. And when we have a little bit more going on in the backyard, I'll also give you an update on the backyard landscape. But it's just so much fun. I've been exploring the neighborhood. I've been meeting so many more people. Hubs and I are so happy with our decision, and we have a lot of neighborhood to walk about in addition to our gardens. So there you go. There is your Wednesday walkabout for this chilly day.